Hey, Spuddies, PotatoMcWhiskey here, and welcome back to our Cree-based gameplay where we are going for the mid-game, midstream culture switch. And I think I managed to lay out in the last episode a whole bunch of things where I'm getting all my theater squares, where I'm getting my entertainment complexes, where I'm going to be getting my national parks and potentially even more cities. If we can squeeze that city in there, it'll be pretty good. It might have to be based on a Golden Age next era. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this. I think our short-term goal for this game is to get our religion evangelized so we can get a couple of extra beliefs. And our mid-term goals are to get our holy sites up and then start getting our theater squares up. And I think that's kind of like the pattern that we're going to be following. I've also got a couple of like scouts and stuff coming out. I need to think about where I'm going to get my diplomatic plaza. There's a whole host of like issues like that I haven't gotten around to. But the big one that I need to choose is like, which government am I going to go for here? The big advantage of monarchy is that it has 2 wildcard slots, which like really opens up the game. And also the diplomatic favor if I go early walls. The problem is that I've gone top half of the tech tree, so I'm not going to unlock walls for a while, which maybe pushes me more in the direction of a theocracy play to increase our faith income. And then we store up a whole bunch of faith that we can use at conservation to bang out a bunch of naturalists. And then we quick tech Cold War to bang out a bunch of early rock bands. That's kind of the pathway that I'm considering here. And I think it's a reasonable one. So let's go for Reformed Church. I will grab guilds, then, well, 2 markets. I'm not going to be able to market. So guilds into Reformed Church. Just specifically because I'm playing a naval-based game. I will eventually go for my walls, but it'll just be kind of a bit later in the game. Because I'm playing top half of the tech tree, it just doesn't really make sense to go for monarchy and walls. So yeah, we're gonna give that the old college miss. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this game. I could trade it with the Vatican for another envoy. That would get me suzerainty, almost. This was meant to go to my capital in order to build the mausoleum faster, but this is a really attractive trade route. I will trade with my capital, though, because that extra production and food will make the difference in this city, especially because now I can actually place a district. Now, the question is, do I get an industrial zone in the city, or do I go straight for my theater square? What's the growth like? The growth is pretty reasonable. Diplo quarter. I think my capital will get to 10 population faster, and I'll put the Diplo quarter here instead. So I think, like, am I going to go for my theater squares immediately, or do I stop? I think I go for my theater squares immediately, but I'm working on some other things first. So we'll get the theater square placed, because when you place a district, you lock in its price. Districts get more expensive the longer a game goes. So if you place a district, the price no longer increases. So even though our districts are getting more expensive, that particular district, because it was placed, will not get more expensive. So it's kind of a great idea to do this. The second you have a district slot available, like over here in this city, we do now have the availability to put down a theater square. So you slap it down as fast as you can to lock in that price. So you always want to be looking for cities with multiples of 1 plus 3. Like, for example, you know what? I might just buy the monument in here so I can get started on the harbour a little bit sooner. I think that's an okay thing to do. Use my gold to accelerate those cities a little. I don't like this scout being annoying in my area, so I will protect my trade route, though, because he might go for it. Let's have a look. Where do we want to build tile improvements for my empire? I want to be looking out for fishing boats. I think as a priority, yeah, fishing boats over here. I get a lot of value from my fishing boats, and they also feed into my current strategy, which is to go... I want that tribal village. Is to go very heavy on fishing boat plays in terms of like shipyards and seaports, right? Because I'm focusing on gold and food and stuff like that from my coastal cities. Most importantly, when I get my lighthouses up, I will have like an insane amount of trade routes. I'll have an insane amount of growth. My empire, like once I get these lighthouses up, my empire changes like massively. Look at this city. Look at these tiles, right? If I can get these fishing tiles, in fact, I could buy these fishing tiles and continue to max out this city. I don't think that's the best thing to do in a reign city, though. This city is not following my religion. That is something I need to consider. Is maybe I need to do a inquisition. I don't think I need to do an inquisition just yet. I do really want this faith, though. But the earlier I get my theater square up, the better. So I'm going to focus on getting a theater square up here, I think. How important is this faith? It's pretty important. Well, I can start to evangelize. So I'll get my first apostle, and we can consider if I think we get our evangelizing, evangelizing done. It's impossible to say. Boom. This is one of our last cities to go down. We're going to immediately build the harbor. This city needs a builder, so I'll likely save up money to buy one here. It'll take me a couple of turns. Maybe I can sell some stuff. Hang on. We've got pearls, 170 gold. How about 196? At 191, maybe we can go ahead and buy a builder. Boom. So be able to get the fishing boats up here at least, which will speed this city up. And then we can also buy ourselves a granary to allow the city to grow faster. And then we'll buy the monument soon in order to allow the borders to grow faster too. So it's kind of a whole process up here that we're working on. All right, here's our last scouting unit. I'm going to go ahead and put this one on faster hill movement, and then I'll just put it on auto explore. My capital did a good job. I think I could start building traders for me. Now, if I can build another trader, that means I finished a trade route building somewhere. I finished it over here. So we'll get that trade route up and we'll set it somewhere useful. Potential attack coming here from Egypt. I could get an alliance with Shaka, and I will. Send him a friendship, send him a delegation, get ourselves a military alliance. That means anyone who attacks him will also have to deal with me. And also a big advantage is I get his vision. A very interesting map. We are sitting on an envoy and we found a lot of city-states. So let's start looking at the envoy quests here. So one of them wants me to train a man-at-arms. Do I have a melee unit sitting around? I do not. This is something my capital could definitely do if I had the iron. Let's go ahead and see if we can purchase a little bit of iron. You know what we could do, actually? Probably simpler. It's probably way simpler if I train a warrior and then upgrade him to a man-at-arms. So we'll do it in that order. Somebody wants me to build a campus. Trade routes, those may be possible later. Recruit a great artist. Religious conversion, where is Hattusa? Trigger an inspiration for guilds. I'm researching guilds, so that's not going to happen. And trigger Eureka for castles. Well, I can do that one pretty easily by just adopting a government. So it may be about time that I plug in the two envoy for the first thing cart, so we can start to build up relationships with all these city-states. Even just having like a reasonable relationship with them is helpful. Now, we're not under threat. I don't see any religious units coming in to fight us, so we're going to go ahead and evangelize here. So we're going to have a lot of passive culture this game. Like a lot of passive culture, because we're going to be building theater squares. Maybe we go for cross-cultural dialogue in combination with Watts to make up for the fact that our growth, we're not going to be getting much science from many places. It's an okay choice. Sacred Places is okay, but it's kind of more of a multiplayer build. I like scripture or itinerant preachers. Either of those is viable. It'll probably be my last belief. Religious unity is helpful for envoy control, but it's not important to me. I'm going to go ahead and take cross-cultural dialogue. Although tithe is really good. I think I'll take cross-cultural dialogue. I'm going to have a lot of money from being coastal. This will just give me that little bit of extra science. Like, it's like having an extra campus or two, which I think over the course of the game, especially because I went for a growth-heavy religion, this is going to actually pay dividends over the course of the game. With the combination of being coastal and having a growth-heavy religion, I will have a huge amount of population, which will give me a huge amount of just extra passive faith. Because if you really think about this, normally citizens in your cities give you 0.5 science each, right? This gives you 4 science for every 4 people, which is like getting 0.75 science in total from your population. So it's kind of like a 50% boost to the passive science. Now, of course, it's based on the total number of people following your religion. Like, this city is 8 population, but only 7 people are following my religion. So that's like worthy of consideration, that it's not always... That's not exactly, but it's approaching that. It's like, that's the limit that it approaches, to use like a mathematical term, which I think makes it reasonable. Now, there is some interesting things here. Like, maybe I can circumnavigate and snatch like a little bit of islands over here. It does look like there might be open land here, not too far to my east. So I'm going to grab my galleys and have them in position, because we're not far away from picking up cartography. And we could do maybe an upgrade or two to send them out into the water and really have a good look around at what's going on. All right, we got my warrior here. This was for the purchasing of iron. I can also purchase luxuries. I will purchase those because they're extremely efficient ways to increase my empire's happiness. I want iron, and I only want like 20. So I could talk to Persia. What if I brought this down to 20? And you would take 5 gold per turn. That's perfect. And now we can upgrade this guy to a man-at-arms. Although first, I think I need to unlock bronze working and iron working. So we'll quickly tap those. And that was for Zanzibar, which is a good place to actually get control of because it'll give me that. Zanzibar is actually really important for me because it's a trade city state and I'm building harbors in every city. Vatican as well is really important for me. This is like, these are how I'm going to scale my empire. I'm kind of sad. We will kind of look for like Vatican and Zanzibar first are going to be our primary goals. And then later on, we want to get control of these cultural city states. Ayutthaya gives you a lot of, lets you turn basically production into culture. And then Vilnius just gives you extra adjacency on your theater squares for having good alliances. And since I'm going for a very alliance heavy start here, these all kind of align. Everything, like this is when it's the most satisfying way to play Civ, is when what you want to do kind of lines up with what you're doing. And like the game gives you opportunities to play in like an interesting and fun way. This is honestly when Civ is at its best. Is games like this, where you had like a bit of a struggle to the start, but you overcame it. And now you have to deal with like a little bit of adversity. And then it's kind of like, okay, but there is like a pathway forward. And I think that's when Civ is the most fun and like the most accomplished, is when there is a pathway forward and that pathway forward is interesting. Now, did we find any iron? We did find a chunk of iron here. This will probably never get improved. I kind of wish there was an option to like have a one tile like nature preserve where I could be like, hey, I'm planting forests on this strategic. But I might just have to figure out something to do with that. Maybe I'll improve it because iron is valuable. I don't know, we'll see. I don't need farm triangles this game. My empire is like pretty accomplished without them. Mostly I just need to improve tiles. Like I guess improving the farm is okay. Or would I rather improve this city? I'd rather improve this city. You need to be thinking about like where are my builders? Where's their time best spent? And like the sake of this reef here, this is like a really, really good tile. It's a 3 food, 2 production tile with a builder charge, which will make it like super valuable for this city because it's way better, right? If you compare this crab tile, okay, 2 food, 1 production versus 3 food, 2 production, this earns 50% more money and 100% more production. Like if you frame it like that, that's just like, this tile is just incredible in comparison. That's why turtles are so good, especially because turtles always spawn on reefs and reefs always give you extra food. I actually don't need much more exploration right now, so I'm going to bring my galleys back to get upgraded into caravels. I can get an alliance with Cleopatra. I'll get a delegation and a friendship with her for now, and then I'll think about maybe a cultural alliance could be good, but I'll kind of have to think about that for a bit. +1 sight range for naval units. I'll take Leif Erikson, and I think also your ability allows them to move over ocean without the normal technology requirement. So I can actually send a preemptive galley here to look, maybe I could send 2 preemptive galleys to act as caravels and really find maybe there's a bit of land over there. So we got our shrine in here. Let's get our temple as well. We want to max out these cities. I probably won't go for the cathedral. I'll probably switch to the theater square. In fact, I will do that because I do want my watts to make up for my science game. Time for a lighthouse. Feeling good. I have room for another trader. Excellent. It's all starting to come together. And this is like a very, very satisfying and fun part of the game for me, is when the plan is coming together, right? It's like the A team. Everything is starting to coalesce into a real thing. Now, where is this trader going? Let's have a little bit of a think about that. If I put the trader in this city, I would get another trade route a little bit faster. That seems pretty okay. I'll put the trader in here and trade with my capital. I don't have room for another trader. I could build a settler. I don't need to build a man-at-arms because I am going to use gold to get that. I just need like another turn or 2 of gold. Actually, speaking of, is there anything I can sell? I don't want to sell my iron. Diplo favor for like a little bit of upfront gold, and then I'll upgrade this warrior next turn. Is there anything they want me to build? Just great artist, religious conversion, Eureka for castles. All these things are going to kind of happen naturally as time goes on. I could just crank out a builder. It's a 5 charge builder. It's not bad. Yeah, I'll crank out a builder. Harbor finished. We go for the lighthouse. Remember, we're maximizing our trade routes. And the reason we want trade routes is because trade routes are incredibly powerful. They give you food, they give you production, and then later on, they give you a ton of gold. So like, philosophically, the way you should think about trade routes is it's like having a population unit you can move around your empire. Like imagine if you could be like, hey, or it's like having a tile. You could like, imagine having a horse tile that you could move. Like I could just like pick, like suction cup this horse tile and put it in, I don't know, this city over here, right? That's the value of a trader. Because if I click on that trader, right, it's 4 food, 3 production. That's like, it's an extra 2 food on top of this horse tile, right? You know what I mean? Like that is the power of a trader early game. Now in the mid to late game, the power of a trader is an absurd amount of food. So that's why I call traders empire-wide infrastructure. They are your empire-wide infrastructure. They apply to your empire because they're population you can move. That's like the true power of a trader. And builders are kind of similar, but builders are like production you can move around your empire. So now we have access to education, which is not super important for us, this particular game. I do want to change my government. I'm going to take out Charismatic Leader, and I'm going to go ahead and plug in Diplomatic League. I don't think I need Maritime Industries anymore, and I could very easily plug in something different. I'm not building any settlers, so like isolationism is actually pretty based here. Now, my heart would say retainers, and I think it does. So I'm going to plug in retainers, and I'm going to start looking to actually build garrisons here. And the best way to build garrisons are cheaply. So if I come in here, this mission was for, I think it was Bologna. No, it was for Zanzibar. Now I should get 2 envoys with Zanzibar. Right, I have 0 right now. I upgrade this guy, boom. And now with Zanzibar, I have 2 envoys. I put another envoy in, and we're a step forward to being friends with Zanzibar. Let's put an envoy into, I think Vilnius first. Boom, that'll get me that little bit of culture that'll slowly build up over the course of the game. So I need to start getting garrisons, and I think I'll use my capital for that. And I just need to find like a cheap and fast unit. And honestly, the Okhichita is like the perfect garrison unit. It costs 40 production, has no upkeep, and I can just send it to garrison cities for +1 amenity. Like, you're never going to find an amenity that costs 40 production. Like, it just doesn't exist. I'll pick up Magnus just to slap into a city. This city does not have a governor. Maybe this city needs a governor more, so I'll pop him in there. Remember, governors are also worth 2 amenities, and amenities are a really good way to get more value out of your empire. Are you already trading with the capital? No, you're not. There we go. Okay, 4 food, 3 production. There could theoretically be a national park. Well, no, this is -2. I would need forests on way too many tiles, so this can just be mines. I'm trying to be a little bit careful about how I spend my money. I know there's a lot of things I want to buy, like I want to buy a monument over here in this city because its borders are growing slowly. Where are my scouts? Let's just go send some of them to go garrison. I actually think I just need them to garrison for amenities. But yeah, while we wait for the game to crash and to restart and stuff like that, it's probably a good time to tell you one of the stories of the people who've reached out to me about the sort of experience of just like native life, of being a native person. We are, of course, playing the Cree, which they are a Native American tribe in America. So I thought it would be interesting if, because I started talking to Cinnamon Beard, who is Argent. He is a member of the Ninilchik tribe. I think he basically occupies like what you could consider to be like the deputy minister of culture, or like that kind of, like, it's not really that role, but it's kind of like he's an artist. He's like a public person, and he got in touch with me, and we were kind of just chatting back and forth. He was talking to me about Apple. I think Apple tried to get in touch with his tribe, and they wanted his tribe's data, but they wanted to give his tribe like no control over what could be done with that data. And they wanted to create like a map lens for their like Apple map thing, where it's like, oh, here's like where tribal people live, and here's their statistical data, and like you could see 20,000 Ninilchik people live in this city, and like stuff like that. And they were like, well, okay, sure, you can have our data, but we want to like are you going to like invest our local area? Are you going to give us control over our data? Can we get ourselves removed from this if we choose? And Apple was just basically like, no, which like, and you're asking for pretty reasonable things there in exchange for data. So that was kind of interesting to me, that there was like a dynamic there that like I'd never considered, and that got me interested. And so we started talking a little bit more. We started talking a little bit about like identity and performative identity is probably like the simplest way that I say this, which is essentially like, some of it touched upon like travel. Like, people don't travel to experience things anymore. They travel to take pictures and put it on social media, which is like a little weird, in the sense that because you're not looking for an authentic experience, you're looking to project that you're having an authentic experience without actually having an authentic experience. It's just like a weird little like loop-de-loop of it's kind of it's just a weird thing that people are doing, right? Nobody, it doesn't feel like people are traveling anymore because like, oh dude, I really want to go visit XYZ place. It's like, I want to go to this place so that I can be seen to have been here and be seen as a well-traveled, interesting person. Like, traveling isn't a replacement for your, personality. But a lot of people are treating it as a way to collect sort of social face, social points. And this is like world spread wide. So I went off on a little bit more of a tangent than I'd meant to, but we talked about that a little bit. And we also talked about like other like performative identities that people have, like being woke. And that even though like people who are woke are really, really annoying, because like they do inappropriate stuff in social situations, like read the room, etc. But there was like a huge upside of wokeism for Argent's tribe, or Cinnamon Beard's tribe, in that a lot of brands, well, first of all, like the obvious benefit is like just general awareness. But the big upside was that brands actually wanted to work with his tribe and some other tribes, because being seen to work with a tribe is like a woke thing. You know what I mean? Like, and wokeness has become profitable, which is like a good thing, right? It's a good thing if companies see being woke as profitable, because the downstream effects is like more socially conscious and socially liberal things will get done by corporations, which is like cool. Like, it's having the effect we want. So we talked about that a little bit. That was kind of cool. There was a couple of other stories. I'm trying to like, I wrote down a couple of notes because I know I'm like liable to go off on like tangents, but I think the big takeaway from this conversation, and I talked about this like in yesterday's episode, is that you shouldn't think of like native issues as like this monolithic thing. Every tribe is going to have its own, like, we have this local issue, or we have XYZ problem. And, or like our tribe has like a really bad, drug problems were things that came up a lot in people's messages to me about like their experiences, like living on reservations or being members of tribes or living near them. So like, but every tribe is going to be different, right? And one of the funny, it's kind of funny, but it's also kind of cynical, but it kind of ties into wokeness as well, is that his tribe, because they're kind of mixed ethnicity, a lot of them, they're not seen as like what's the word? The word is like BIPOC. They're not, because they pass as white, right? They're not seen as BIPOC. By the way, BIPOC does not stand for bisexual people of color, which is what I thought it meant. It means Black, Indigenous, and people of color. So just to clarify there, because when I first heard that phrase, I was like, why do we need this like super specific term for bisexual people of color? But that's not what it means. But yeah, like his tribe weren't seen as like, his tribe aren't seen sometimes by other nations as being non-white enough, I guess, is kind of weird. So that's kind of like an interesting perspective. But again, like, I think the big thing is like, that's going to be an issue specific to his tribe and not necessarily another tribe, which again kind of continuously reinforces that idea that like native issues aren't a monolith. You can't generalize. You really, really can't generalize like the sorts of like, and like, I think it's also really important that I say like, probably not the biggest issue that his tribe faces, but it's like an example of something small and weird and quirky that you probably won't see everywhere. What were the other things? We talked about a couple of other things. I know I'm not talking about the gameplay, but the gameplay is kind of like straightforward, right? I'm just exploring, I'm killing. The other thing, oh shoot, what was it? He actually told me a couple of cute stories that I enjoyed. A lot of the stories I got were, and I don't mean to sound dismissive or negative when I say this, but they were kind of depressing stories, right? And appropriately so. The way Native peoples have been treated is very reminiscent of the way Irish people have been treated in history. It's just not been good. It's not been good. You have varying degrees of, killings, massacres, straight up genocide, all this sort of stuff. Just like not great things to have happened to you and your people. You have cultural elimination, residential skills. All these sorts of experiences are unfortunately more common than you would think. But I got Argent had like a couple of cute and nice stories for me. One of them was the Iroquois tribe, which I think is like an Haudenosaunee or something. I'm not sure exactly how that relationship works. Like, I think they're called Haudenosaunee now, but they operate their sports teams under the Iroquois banner because I don't know why. I don't know why they do it, but that's what they're doing. They were trying to get into the World Games. The World Games is basically like, the B-tier Olympics. Like, it's like all the sports that aren't important enough to get into the Olympics, they go to the World Games. And lacrosse is a sport in the World Games. And the Iroquois, they wanted to have a lacrosse team, a national lacrosse team. But despite the fact that, like, you know, like Gibraltar and all these like tiny micronations in the UK and stuff, they qualify by the Olympic Committee to have their own national teams. They wouldn't let the Iroquois have a national team. And the cute part of it, my game crashed again. This is kind of depressing. The cute part of the story is that it was actually the Irish men's team for lacrosse who helped kind of light the fire under the Olympic Committee's ass and get them to hear the hearing faster, because they refused to participate in the tournament because the Iroquois were like prevented from being officially like recognized as a nation in the World Games or whatever. I don't know exactly how the story works. I was like, and that was kind of cute. Like it was a nice, and I think this year for the first time, there will be a national native. I think at least in lacrosse, there will be like a national native team participating in the World Games at lacrosse, at least. I don't know if that's like a world first or whatever, but it was kind of a cute little story that there is actually progress being made. And like little small, like these weird issues are getting like tackled very slowly, which is cool, which shows that, oh God, the volume. It shows that these like little problems, they're getting solved slowly, surely. Little bite of the elephant. After a little bite of the elephant, we're chipping away at these things. Now, there's obviously work to do. And I think there was also another cute story that this is one I really like, is the during the Irish famine, which, by the way, was completely unnecessary. And it killed probably like a sixth of the population and then displaced another 2/6. Maybe somewhere between like 20% to like 40% of the Irish population died or were forced to emigrate away from Ireland because of this famine, which was completely unnecessary. There was more than enough food to feed the country. It was just being exported, not being... It wasn't taken seriously, essentially. But actually, the Choctaw tribe, they heard about the Irish famine, and despite the fact that like they weren't necessarily like, you know, rolling in dough and had their own issues, they still found time to send a donation to Ireland during the Irish famine, which is like super appreciated in Irish culture, which I really liked. I liked that story. That was cool. And what was the other thing? Oh yeah, and we built a monument. We built a little monument in their honor. It was like a little feathery thing. It's kind of cool. I can't remember exactly where it is. It might be in Cork. Maybe I'll go visit and take pictures of it. Yeah, so that was just like, there you go. That was what I was looking to do with this series. I will do more stories. I have plenty in the bank. Lots of people got in touch with me to tell me their stories. And hey, if you have a story about being, you know, a part of a tribe or a native person, hey, just throw it in the comments. Like, just like, it'd be fun. It'd be interesting to hear other people's perspectives, good, bad, whatever. If you went to a cool, are they called powwows? If you went to a powwow and it was a lot of fun, I mean, talk about it in the comments. If you come from, I don't know, a people who suffered terribly in the Trail of Tears or whatever, post that in the comments. That'll be less fun, but it'll be intellectually interesting and worth engaging with, you know? These things are all, it's important to hear these things, I think, because they're unheard stories. And I think as I'm getting a little bit older, I'm kind of more interested in people rather than history. Like I'm not so interested in like, oh, there was 500 million people in the Battle of Stalingrad or whatever. I know that's like it was more like a million. There was like a million soldiers fighting at Stalingrad. I'm kind of more interested in like Private Heinrich Umler, that's Private like Heinrich Umlaut of the 5th Division, who was drafted into the army against his will and had to sit in a basement in Stalingrad for 6 days and eventually survived. The individual stories are more interesting. And that's why I wanted like contemporary stories about being a Native American person from my audience. That's what I was hoping for, and that's what I got, and I got them in spades. So thank you guys so much. But yeah, share that kind of stuff in the comments. Anyway, we can get back to the gameplay. I've been playing a little bit slow while I talked about that because I thought it would be interesting. Now, if you like it, tell me about it. Like if you enjoyed that little story time, I hope it was nice. But we will continue to play. I want to make some progress here in the game. So I'm doing a little bit of exploration. I have spotted some land. I've also found some city-states. We do have access to Theocracy now, so we can go ahead and pop in Theocracy. Now, the big important things about Theocracy that I want to talk about is, most importantly, we can move our Retainers card up from being a wildcard policy slot and then move back down Republican Legacy for those extra 7 amenities. You can see here we're up to 3 happy cities, which is a 10% yield boost in those cities and a 20% growth boost, I think it is, or maybe it's 15%. But the really important thing about Theocracy is it increases the amount of envoys we earn. At 150 points, we get 2 envoys. It also increases our faith gain per citizen in cities with governors. Now, remember, we're in a high growth game, right? We're getting harbors. We have a religion that scales with growth, that gives us lots of growth. And it also gives us a 15% discount on faith purchases. So we'll be able to evangelize and spread our religion and do all that sort of stuff later on in the game a little bit easier. I think Retainers is a good card to plug in here, as is, finally, did I never unlock? I think I forgot to unlock military training to unlock veterancy. So I'm going to go pick up veterancy because that's a card that I want to have plugged in. For now, I'll have conscription plugged in and then also plug in Republican Legacy. Bish bash bosh. I should have maybe had veterancy plugged in for a while now. It would have given me a 30% speed boost on my harbor construction. Yeah, maybe I should have had it plugged in. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to tell when exactly you should have things to do. Sometimes you're just kind of constrained by the state of the game. Now, if I'm thinking about what Government Plaza is, I want to go for it. So my faith gain should be up, by the way. I'm up to 100 faith per turn. Super solid. I'm not going for any sort of a militaristic game as the Cree here. I think we decided upon culture as our direction. Grandmaster's Chapel doesn't really support a culture victory. Foreign Ministry kind of supports a cultural victory in the sense that you have better control over city-states and diplomatic favor. Intelligence Agency feels a little bit flexible to me. I just really, really like Intelligence Agency. Having access to spies and being able to use spies against my enemies just feels very powerful. Now, I'm a little worried about this line infantry here. Kind of spooky. Barbarian line infantry, that might trigger me to need to get crossbows. As much as I don't want to play around this bottom half of the tech tree, it might be necessary. There's the Galapagos Islands, nestled up here in the corner of the map. There is potentially a city here. There's potentially a few cities kind of knocking around here in the ocean, and I think it would be fun to maybe get a few late game cities. They're never really going to do much for me in terms of like actual gameplay outcomes, because you know most of the benefits I'm going to be getting from my empire are kind of locked in right now. I think I'm getting retainers. Now, how many cities do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cities, which means I want to be getting 10 amenities from retainers. And now I should be getting 10 amenities from retainers. I have 9 cities that are happy. Having 9 cities that are happy, that's a 10% boost to production, a 10% boost to gold, a 10% boost to science, a 10% boost to culture, a 10% boost to faith, and a 10% boost to food. So that is, remember, that's as if I had just every 10 turns, I get an extra turn of every yield. So that's the power of having positive amenities. I used to not respect positive amenities, and even after it was buffed for a while, I was like, amenities are dumb. But now I have much more respect for amenities. I spent a little bit of time with the multiplayer community. I spent a little bit of time like experimenting with builds, and I definitely feel like amenities are more important. Oh my god, this is incredible. We actually got the Mausoleum. How long has it been since we had a good Mausoleum thumbnail? You know what, actually? The rest of this episode is dedicated to making the best Mausoleum thumbnail that I can. Hold on. Best Mausoleum thumbnail will involve a shipyard. So I'll need to save money to buy a shipyard. I'll need to build a builder. And I'll need to upgrade Liang to get fisheries. So let's see if we can make a really, really good Mausoleum thumbnail. Maybe I could sell a little bit of resources. There we go. And sell a little more. There we go. Okay, now I can come in here. Now look how much this costs that I'm working. Okay, production in the city. Now, that's because they're no longer working these mines, right? But there's a lot of science, a lot of faith, a lot of culture. If I go ahead and look in here, right? 12 production per turn. If I were to like force work all of these mines, we could get up to 28 production, which is pretty respectable. Let's go in here. Let's buy the shipyard. Boom. And then we refresh. 22 production from working coastal tiles on top of the fact that I'm getting like science, production, and faith. That's pretty damn good. I think I will, though, reject coastality and embrace mines, because now I'm up to 30 production. That's pretty solid. I think one of the cards I need to have plugged in now, I'm going to get rid of urban planning. Ooh, sorry, I don't want to get rid of urban planning yet. Urban planning stays in. Now we plug in veterancy on top of conscription. Boom. And then we go ahead and we grab ourselves naval tradition so that we can plug in harbor adjacency bonuses. So you can see the build is starting to coalesce together into a beautiful, beautiful beautiful thing. Let's break the suzerainty Hojo has over Ayutthaya, and then we want to try and take suzerainty of Ayutthaya. Okay, this guy is strong. He's 65 base combat strength, which means he'll do a lot of damage to this city. I do have a couple of units shooting him. Caravel is probably my best bet to build up the city strength to defend it. God, I love my fishing boat tiles. 3 food, 1 production, 1 gold. I do feel like fishing boats should just have baseline 1 production. Maybe. Economic alliance, hey. Economic alliance. I'll take an economic alliance with Egypt. That seems pretty good to me. So the most common city-state on the map are militaristic city-states. However, the ones people are most likely to be trading with are either scientific, religious. Looks like she's going to settle over here. Scientific, religious, or industrial. So I think... Ooh, wait. Auckland is in the game! Bro, how did I not see Auckland here? Okay. Operation Get Control of Auckland is a go. I think I'm going to go ahead and vote up industrial city-states twice. And then I'll vote for myself here in this one. Oh, wait, I need to cancel that. I think there's a chance industrial city-states will get boosted here. It could also be... Yeah, okay, I was right. Industrial is right. So we are on track for a diplomatic victory here. We've got 5 points. We're missing 1, which isn't too bad. But yeah, I need to get control of Auckland, which means I need to recruit a great artist. Let's have a look at the great writer situation. Only a few have been taken. No great artists have been taken. So yeah, it's time to get our culture on. We are getting theater squares. Okay, here comes the line infantry. Now the good news is we can pop him twice. Let's bring this man-at-arms around. If he gets into the city, it'll give it extra combat strength against bad guys, aka barbarians. You want to buy the rest of my Diplo favor? I'll take that deal. Just don't like two-shot the city, please. That's all I want. Actually, he just stood there. Perfect situation. Lets me pepper him away a little bit more. My man-at-arms gets closer to the city, and it's a beautiful day. Enemy galley, let's attack. Hopefully he captures this builder and then I can steal that builder. Looks like Zulu and stuff. Looks like, yeah, settlements are starting to go out. We're at the phase of the game where the AI considers now doing their next wave of settling. So that's something I have to consider, is a lot of these like little crappy islands will get snatched up very soon. So maybe after my Diplo quarter, I might crack out like 3 to 4 settlers. Now we got naval tradition. We could take out urban planning. We could probably take out serfdom because we're not building builders right now. And we could plug in naval infrastructure because I have no intention of making builders right now at this current moment of the game. All right, you pillaged my mine, you jerk. How dare you? I do have cartography next turn. Caravel will help. Yes, so I think it would be good to pick up diplomatic service because this will give me access to more spies. More spies means more, spying. Natural sort of progression there. We can get our theater square in here. We have a fully built thing. I don't remember what we built. We built a builder specifically for the purpose of improving these coastal tiles. And so we'll get to work on our theater squares now. We want to get those great artists if we can. We do, in fact, have the faith now to get another 2 apostles, 1 for an inquisition and 1 for a evangelization. I have built my holy site in here. Shipyards are important. I think 8 production shipyards. Those are critically important. So that's going to immediately jump up the priority list. Same in here. This is a 9-turn shipyard. Immediately jump up like the critical priority level. This is so much production. 8 production shipyard plus all of this coastal tiles that it'll boost. So important. You're going to hang around. Kill here. Unfortunately, the barbarian galley did not attack like I'd hoped and net me a builder. A free barbarian builder. Cartography is great. It gives us an extra 2 gold from our fishing ships, which is a big help. Sort of thinking about our next direction here. We definitely want to play top half of the tech tree. How are we looking in terms of era? Era is Renaissance, so ideally we want to avoid researching industrial tech until the Renaissance is over, just for like scientific efficiency, because we're going for a very light on science game. Also, the Cree on the map almost looks like ocean. It's kind of hard to spot my empire. More than once have I looked at... Wait. Oh, your settler retreated. Interesting. Okay, let's have a little bit of a think about where we want to go next with our tech tree. I mean, we have the critical shipyard. Shipyard. The next critical point would be up here at electricity, right? That's 4 techs away seaports, but that's like 4 techs, but a lot of time. Plus, this is 2 eras ahead right now, which means it's 60% more expensive than it should be. I'm pretty sure this is a 1,370. It's actually costing me 1,600. So yeah, I want to hold off on researching 2 ahead of time. It might be a good idea to pick up square rigging to be prepped for industrialization. And maybe it's a good idea now to swing back and just pick up a lot of these cheap techs, like wheel, masonry, engineering, construction, machinery. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get square rigging as a capstone tech, and then let's do this. We'll grab all these cheap techs up to machinery, and then we'll reassess once we have machinery. So we'll finish a few techs nice and quick. All right, let's go ahead and evangelize our belief, and then we will go ahead and launch an inquisition. There's the era score. So we wanted to do all of that. We're doing this for era score because we want a heroic age. Now, let's get I wanted a 30% range increase, but somebody evangelized before I could. Let's just get scripture. An extra little bit of passive spread is fine. There's +3 era score. So we're 5 era score away from hitting a heroic age. And we do have Exodus of the Evangelists triggered. So if I get myself an Inquisitor, I should be able to reconvert these 2 cities. And then maybe another Apostle will roll good abilities so that I can maybe convert Edinburgh, maybe convert like a couple of cities. I don't know, we'll figure it out. We'll see what we can do in terms of converting cities. I'm making 189 gold per turn, by the way. Absolutely pogged out of my mind. Now, in these crappy cities, I'm going to have to buy the lighthouse, but we are going to start popping down these theater squares soon. So we'll start popping off. Let's go ahead and get to work on that lighthouse. And I can also get to work on the lighthouse in here. Although, again, I think this tile is too good to replace with a theater square right now. I think I want to wait until I have the shipyard before I do that. Also, I'm going to buy a monument in both of these cities because the culture is helpful. Debater is useful. It's not the kind of ability that I wanted, but I will take it. Let's use our Inquisitor now to retake a city, and then we'll get a second Apostle, and then ideally another Missionary. And then this should be able to, this combination of 3 units, theoretically should be able to get me my era score that I need. I mean, I'm also building other things for era score, so we'll see how that all shakes out for me. I'm up to a fully happy empire, by the way. 10 happy cities is perfect. There's 10 population in our capital, which does mean if I do come in here, I can actually place my Diplo quarter, which is huge for us, by the way. This is going to give us a lot of envoys. Unfortunately, the lack of land has maybe placed things a little bit suboptimally, one might say. And we did get ourselves a great admiral that gets me a privateer. So now we have a potential unit that can raid other people if someone decides to go to war with me. We're up to 98 era score. The heroic age is secured, and next episode is going to be absolutely gigapog. Oh, this is perfect. Translator, boom. Translator, this guy fights enemy units, this guy converts enemy cities. Perfect. Construction, big pogs. Holy sites. With the assistance of an Inquisitor, now my holy site's better, but I do want my shipyard first. 16 turns. I feel like anywhere from 10 to 15 turns on a shipyard is like a relatively easy build. More than that, I start thinking about purchasing. So when I see a 16, I think about purchasing it, but I also see that I have a ton of like other cities that are going to need me to buy their shipyards. So some cities are just going to have to build them. Shipyard, by the way, is giving me 8 production. This is why it's so important to get at least 3 to 4 adjacency. 4 is very, very achievable on shipyards, by the way, because all you need is 1 coastal resource, your city center, and another district, and boom, you've got a 4 adjacency, which is an 8 production shipyard. It's a huge compensation for being coastal. It really does. I mean, it doesn't completely fix it, but it makes up for a lot of the downsides of being coastal. First or second theater square may be finished. Let's get the watermill just for the 1 food, 1 production, and then we'll get the amphitheater. Holy site completed over here. This is a 14-turn shipyard. Very buildable. 14 turns is very, very buildable. Like, if to put 14 turns in perspective, that's just under 10% of this game's length, right? Which is a very, very buildable thing. So where do I want to send my spy? I suppose what I could do is use the better spy screen to filter for commercial hubs. Nobody has commercial hubs. So maybe we could do something unorthodox with our guy. This is something I almost never do with my spies, but maybe Auckland is so important that I could start to take away envoys from Gilgamesh and start to try and take control of Auckland. I think in order to do that, though, I would need to level up my spy on some easy missions first. And the easiest missions I can do right now are foment unrest in Amsterdam. Instead, let's go to Haarlem and steal tech. That's like a safer way to level up your spy. So that's what we need to do. We need to level up our spies before we can use them on diplomatic missions. Scotland actually cleared that barb camp for me, which could... he settled Dumfries, which kind of blocks the freshwater settle. But now we have diplomatic service, which does give us access to the Chancery, and more importantly, Wisselbanken. Wisselbanken is super huge for us if we're going to start trading internationally soon, which we do want to do. Our days of internal trading are almost over. Also, we have like 5 trade routes in the bank. That needs to be done sometime. It'll be done soon, I promise. We're heading up to Diplo service. Our next step is probably to colonialism for the +1 production from fishing boats. So we go to medieval fairs, into humanism, also giving us access to art museums, into mercantilism, into colonialism. And that's our goal direction. All right, let's see if we can get Edinburgh converted. Boom. It is God's will to convert you, I'm afraid. I mean, why do you care? You don't even have your religion here. Listen, you need to calm down, okay? You're being a diva about religion right now. Oh, we found Mount Vesuvius. It might have been good to get Suzerainty of Candy and farm relics out of that. It could have been an easy get, actually. Speaking of which, boom. 2 envoys in Candy, BT dubs. It's an extra +1 faith in our temples and in our capital and in our... in our shrines and in our capital. Golden Age secured. I'm very excited about that. Significant blizzard. It's better than... I mean, you would rather get hit by a significant blizzard rather than an insignificant blizzard. Now, if that triggers an environmental disaster for me, that could be quite good. Unlocking Niter could be handy. I think unlocking walls now is a reasonable thing to do. So I'm going to unlock castles for medieval walls. And then I'll also grab siege tactics for Renaissance walls. Because if I ever have spare production, I can throw those up. Now, I could do 16 turns for a shipyard. And I think, again, 16 turns is like right on the cusp of when I would consider it not worth it. And considering the amount of production that this has to offer, again, 6 production in this particular one. 6 is what I would consider minimum. I don't think I would ever want a shipyard with less than 6 production because it really needs it to pay off, right? This shipyard costs 290 production. So at 6 production, that will take it, 50 turns to pay off its own cost. That's pretty good. And don't forget, it's also just means everything that comes after the shipyard comes quicker. So that's the other thing you have to consider. I think a lot of people get focused on how long does it take for X to pay itself off? But it's not always necessarily about how long something pays itself off. Sometimes it's about the infrastructure power. Sometimes it's about the great people points. You consider, yeah, sure, this 8 production building, right, that costs 300 production. It's going to take what? Let's do the quick calculator math, right? 290 divided by 8. That's 36 turns to pay itself off. Plus maybe I'll get an extra 2 production. So let's call it 30 turns for it to pay itself off. There's an extra +1 food there. That's imperceptible. That's hard to quantify as +1 production, right? Or +1 food. The Great Admiral point is difficult to quantify. And then also just having a higher production capacity in this so that everything that comes after this arrives faster. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to quantify. Now, the nice thing about the consulate and the transferee is you can actually purchase them for gold. So once you have your Diplo quarter, you can instantaneously go from earning 5 influence per turn to purchase, then look to sell something, ideally Diplo favor. And can I sell horses maybe? Any horse buyers? Any open borders buyers? A little bit of open borders going. Just can't quite afford the chancery this turn. But I'll be able to go up to... I'll basically be able to double my influence per turn in 2 turns by building the diplomatic quarter, which means I get twice as many passive envoys, which seems pretty worth it to me. Let's go shipyard watermill. This is another +2 food to the city, which means I'm growing more. Very helpful. Let's boost Liang with aquaculture, so she now has access to fisheries. I have another government envoy thingy available. Boom, fishery, look at that. So I wanted to build the Giga Mausoleum, but that might have to happen next turn or next episode. I don't know, we'll see. It depends on what we can achieve. So now is time to do an international trade route check. We're talking 12 gold. Plus, if I were to plug in Visselbanken, that would be another 2 food, 2 production. I can't quite afford to plug in Visselbanken just yet because I'm still running Envoy card. I can switch Envoy card though and plug in Visselbanken. Charismatic Leader is good. It would be a 20% great person or Envoy acquisition boost. But if I plug in Visselbanken and sort by production, I get 5 and 4 for trading my capital. Or, why hasn't this updated? I'm a little bit confused. Hold on, let me try and figure this out. I'm going to wait a turn with my trade routes to see if that updates next turn. My Visselbanken isn't triggering for some reason. Oh, I'm being chased by a caravel. Run! Oh god, he's gaining on me. There's castles. Okay, trade route. Are you working now? There we go. Now I trade with Egypt, Rack of Death. Okay. Internal trade route, 5 food, 4 production. Or I trade with Egypt and I get 6 food, 4 production, 10 gold, 1 science, 1 cult. This is what I call the switch point. This is the transition. You do a little bit of internal trade route early, then you get Visselbanken, you get some allies, maybe some AI bonuses or whatever trigger too, which I don't even know where this is coming from, but you know what? I'm not going to complain about it. This is incredible value from trade routes to the point where I want my trade routes to start ending. And actually look, the trade routes are going to start ending now. The wave of trade routes, 15 turns until all my internal trade routes are over. So let's start filling out our new trade route empire over here. All 3 of these cities are getting a trader. I forgot to build a Colossus. But that's okay. Somebody else did, so they can have it. Right, we got our shipyard in here. Look at the production, up to 37 production. Now that is tasty. Let's get our amphitheater. Actually, I want the science from the what? Early science here serves me very, very well. God, look at this Rakadet trade route. This is crazy. This is honestly thumbnail worthy. Like super thumbnailable. That is insane production. This like showcases the power of trade and why trade is so important, and it should be one of your first priorities when you're trying to build an efficient empire, is set yourself up for like crazy good trade. Bro. My trade is popping. Now, the important thing is I do need to maintain positive relations with her for the rest of the game, which is good because we are going for a culture game. And once my tourism starts ramping in the next 50 to 60 turns, I'm also going to want to get open borders with people. You asked me not to spread my religion, but I don't care. I'm going to wave my hands in the air. One thing I'm worried about is, like, these cities are a little bit vulnerable to pillaging caravels. We'll see, though. It should be okay. We got our amphitheater. That's perfect. We can place another district. We don't have any districts we want to place. It would be nice to get Kilwa, honestly. And unironically, that's an 18-turn Kilwa. It's totally possible. Let's have a look. Kilwa's been available for a very long time. The AI loves building it. Nobody's building it. Incredible. So we have a really good shot of actually getting Kilwa this game. Kilwa's really powerful because it gives you 3 envoys, and it also gives you a boost to the yield from city-states. So very, very powerful. I need to get a spy. My empire is reaching what I call like a production crunch. And it usually happens around turn 140 to turn 180. I have too many things to build and not enough production to build them. So I'm prioritizing things that give me more production so I can maybe get the things that I need to build. Because I need to build a spy. I need to build traders. I need to build, I'm trying to remember oh my God, I can't think of the word. Killed him. It's good. Sorry, I thought my people would be welcome. I was mistaken. So I'm not gonna intentionally spread to him. I will intentionally spread to Scotland though. Let's renew our friendship with Scotland, get our research alliance back going. But yeah, there's like we're in the process now. We're deep into the process, and this is like, again, I was talking about it earlier. This is like some of the most fun Civ can be, is when you're deep into the process. Trade with Rack of Death again. My gold, my science, my production, everything is going to just start popping off. Let's go ahead and grab Victor, and we will place Victor into here. I probably should have gone for Amani actually, now that I think about it. But yeah, I have a governor now in every single important city, and important cities are anything that aren't like one tile islands or in the snow, essentially, just to like keep you updated on what important means. It means not trash. Although to be fair, every city is kind of important to me. You have 1 charge left after this, so we'll keep you around because you're the translator. You can do a bit of fighting. Let's go ahead and gain sources with our spy in Harlem. This is to increase the probability that we succeed at stealing tech so that we can level our spy up and then start using them to take control of city-states, in particular important city-states like Auckland. Cultural alliance with Japan seems reasonable. Every alliance that I get is just a benefit for me. It also means theoretically I could settle on Japan's border. Okay, we got another lighthouse completed, and you can see this one is 19 turns. This is beyond the range that I would consider reasonable to actually build it, so we're going to purchase it with gold. And here's the caravel. I was kind of worried. I kind of predicted this. I feel that the caravel would come, so I'll upgrade 2 caravels to send north to go deal with this, because I could lose trade routes to this, which would be bad. And let's go ahead and get started on a theater square in here. Killed my best tile, but I think it was necessary. We've got a Hindu apostle. Easy clap. Wibbly wobbly waves. Spread that religion. Netherlands are upset with me, but I mean, that's their own prerogative. They could be mad. I've been denounced by Sumeria. That's not ideal. 2 people have denounced me, which is not good for a tourism victory because you need to start getting open borders with people and stuff. All right, let's go hunt down that caravel with my caravels. We just need to prevent him from killing my trade routes and stuff. Now, I'd love to kill the Scottish missionary here. So the translator, ooh, he's strong. Minor victory though on my front. Boom. It's a 3 health advantage. Not nothing too crazy. Friends with the Zulu. Perfect. Renew that military alliance. Hello, Zulu. Military alliance. So if people have declared war on me, it's a little bit harder. Kill. Perfect. And then before he can use his guys against me, I convert and I look for a conversion. Try and get out of here. Just spreading my religion, getting value from that faith that I spent. Right now, my goal is to bank up my faith for future purposes. Let's get into range here. And you're into range as well, inside the city. Attack. Gotta get him cleared out. Okay, you took damage like expected, but you didn't die. That's the important thing. You survived, which means I get to spread with you. We got our shipyard in Mistahi Sipek. Now, this city wanted theater squares, so we will place those. Shrines are good. Shrine, temple, what? Food, science, culture. keep going for food, science, and culture because like that's what I build scales off of. That's what we're trying to do here. I need to build traders. I've got 3 unused trader slots. Should be 4 actually. I think one of my harbors was pillaged. It's unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. It's okay. I'm not mad. Insert that one meme with the guy crying behind a mask. Boom, we got rid of that caravel. So, you know, I feel like I predicted that caravel so, like, effectively. And welcome to the industrial heroic era. Heroic era is huge. We get to do all sorts of fun things. But that will be happening in the next episode. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.